Ọhaneze ndị bekee kwa mbiki mali abụrụ onye ihe ọma na-adị mma bụrụ onye eziokwu na-adị mma. I don't think you like me see this video. I don't think you like me see this video. Gene ihe nna yokwu na like video ya ndị national na-egwetakwali ya ndị bai ka iwe nwe ike na biko ịbụrụ onye ihe ọma na-adị mma. Ya like ihe niile nwoke anụma na-ekwu. Enwe ndị ndụ ha dị bright. That ha na-ekwu okwu, they transfer light from them to you for you to understand. Enwe ndị na-akụzi ihe ị na-ege ha na-ekwu ihe ha na-ekwu anaghị agbagoju anya. Achọrọ m ikwu okwu too much na end this video.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nemekonyeka Obiori. My job is to teach us and to educate us and enlighten us on the vast opportunity in Nigeria. In 1970, Nigerian GDP was $12.63 billion. South Korean GDP was $9.36 billion. Brazilian GDP was about 20-something billion dollars. Today, Nigerian GDP rebased is $243 billion. South Korea, $1.73 trillion. Brazil, $2.24 billion. But do you know that Nigeria actually has the greatest potentials and opportunities to grow a $2.7 trillion economy based on the natural resources, the human capital, and everything God has given to us? You know, I've been listening to Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the wealthiest man in Africa. Let me tell you, the way Aliko Dangote is going, within the next 10 years, Aliko Dangote will be among the top 5-10 wealthiest people in the whole world. Aliko simply looked at opportunities where there are gaps and fixed himself in. You saw what he said. There are only 2 detergent companies producing benzene or whatever in the whole of Africa, in Libya and Algeria. Today, Aliko Dangote is doing a massive production plan that is times 50 what these other 2 guys are doing. Aliko practically controls cement in West Africa. Today, Aliko has done the biggest single refinery in the whole of Africa, in the whole of the world, and is ramping it up to 1.4 million barrels a day refining capacity. He's building the biggest deep sea port. He's embarking on doing 20,000 megawatts of power, something the federal government could not do for the past 60 years. That's a man, power of vision, and a man who is focused. And come back to Nigeria here. Do you know why Aliko Dangote cited his fire in Lagos? Most of you don't even know. Lagos does not have any access to crude wells around it. One would have expected Aliko to have cited this body in Eket, in other places where he is proximity to crude oil resources. But do you know why? Remember in 2007, Obasanjo, in his wisdom, OBJ remains one of the strongest, the most effective president that brought respect to Nigeria and governed Nigeria. Obasanjo, after he wasted so much money, saw the futility of allowing and even when she rejected his entreaty to come and take over the refineries under a concession, he decided to sell 60% of those refineries, Warrior and Port Harcourt, to the Blue Star Consortium, led by Aliko, Femi, Tony Elumelu, and the owners of Transcorp. The Niger Delta leaders kicked against it. Nupeng, Pengassan, and all the criminals in the public sector shut down Nigeria. Yadua came to power, the good man, and decided, listening to the outcry, and reversed it. Till today, Nigeria has wasted over $18 billion in failed turnaround maintenance programs. Those refineries are not working. Aliko decided in 2013, when he wanted to do a refinery, to come to Lagos. He remembered what those people did. You know, it will be foolhardy for him to go and start a refinery in a place where there is militancy, where people are foolish enough not to realize opportunities that came to them. If Aliko had been allowed to take over those refineries, by now he will have revamped them. By now he will have co-located more refineries that are bigger than the one in Lagos, because they had facilities, natural facilities that will have allowed him to do. But Aliko left them and came to Lagos. Aliko is in Ondo. He's not going to Naija because they've refused. It's a practical case of what the Bible talked about: beggars on horses. Beggars on horses and kings on bare feet. They have been chasing pipeline contracts when their oil is being looted by people from other parts of Nigeria and the world. So the same thing with opportunities in Nigeria. I say it again. Look at Nigeria. The opportunities are so vast. I give you an example. We consume 23 million tons of maize. We only produce 11 million tons. We import over $10 billion worth of grain. A smart thinking people and government we think about how do we cover domestic supply gap. And it's opportunity for us to create wealth, create money, and create job, and create security. We consume 2.4 million tons of palm oil. We only produce 1,050,000 tons. And we import over $600 billion worth of palm oil. It's a country that is in 1965 under Michael Elokbara and the rest of the premiers. We are controlling 45% of the global crude oil, palm oil supply value chain. Today, we can't even produce what we consume. And we know that to cover that domestic supply gap, all we need to do is to plant new 700,000 hectares of super terra palm plantation, the Wima species, which will require over 120 million trees, and set up 1,600 cottage palm processing factories that can do 20,000 liters. We know what to do scientifically, but those in power and those who purport to govern us and those who foolishly follow them and worship them do not understand this. We consume 2.7 million tons of soya. We only produce 1.13 million tons. It's a country with potential to do over 25 million tons of soya. We know what to do to cover that gap. We are not doing it. We consume on an annual basis over 1.5 million tons of poultry meat, which is even one of the lowest per capita consumption, 1.5 kg per capita, when in Africa is 6.5. That is why our children are so malnourished that most of them are brain dead and they turn into Boko Haram or of nonsense. Because when you don't feed the child with a balanced diet for the first 2 years, his brain becomes malnourished and malfunctions. We don't realize this. And why do we smuggle poultry that we can easily produce that? Because the cost of soya production, maize production, and every other input is out of range, and we know what to do to crash it, to make us be like Brazil and the US in terms of per capita production and per capita consumption. Everything revolves around security, because you can't go to farm when you don't have security, and we know what to do to overhaul the security architecture, structure, even in Nigeria, back to what we used to have between 1990s when the regions control their own police force and their own security. In such a way that you hand over security back to the people, and they will take the war to the bandits, to the kidnappers, to the Fula militia, and everything, and destroy them in 1 year. But those who purport to govern us are not doing anything, from the presidency to the governors, and yet the morons in the majority who call themselves citizens do not realize that power belongs to them. Election is coming 2027. They will collect money. They will collect bribe. They will collect rice. They will collect bees. They will rig in the same set of criminals and bandits. The youth coppers who are going to be jobless very soon will collect $100 and doctor resort, switch off IRF and all of them. The poor lecturers and teachers who are going to be collection officers at the ward level and local government level will collect $500 and they'll get result. For the next 4 years, their children will be kidnapped. They will be dying just like those. It's so shameful. The VCs and the professors are state collection officers, local government collection officers with doctor results. Those useless minimum wage earners in INEC will collect bribe and allow bandits who are political bandits to ruin their life. And then we'll come back again. We go to mosque, we go to church, we come and praying to God when we have actually learned ourselves, changed ourselves, hand over ourselves to the devil. The choice is us. If a majority of Nigerians, 6% of us, decide today that enough is enough, we are not going to allow this nonsense to happen. But as youth corpers and the polling units, teachers and lecturers at the ward and local government collection officers, VCs and the state collection officers, just like Kingdom did, we will reset this land. And in the next 10 years, here will be paradise. But who will bear the cat? A land flowing with milk and honey. This is one country that I know. 923,000 square kilometers of land mass, 64 million hectares of arable land mass, 230 million healthy people, over 220 million of us less than 65 years. We can raise non-oil revenue of over $300 billion annually. But we need to do the right thing. We need to elect as president, as governors, as local government chairmen, as House of Rep members, as senators, men and women with credibility, with competence, with integrity, with brain and with passion to do the right things. We are not victims. When we decide to do the right things, we'll do the right thing. Shame on all those who do not realize the deep potential of this country and who continue to allow this nonsense to continue. May God have mercy on us.